was introduced to the rotary cutter, and it dramatically changed my entire world. It's changed the quilting industry for almost every quilter that is out there today. Westerly Design, when they designed the ruler foot, they dramatically have changed that way quilters are quilting. Long armers have had rulers for a long time, but our domestic quilters were at a disadvantage. We've never had those amazing products that could advance our skills. I have so many people say that I can't free motion, that I don't know how to do it, that I'm no good at it. Ruler work is not free motion, it's guided motion. I already know where I'm going, and all I have to focus on is just keeping the foot attached to the ruler until I'm at the end of the line. So it's really a big advancement, helping people to make their quilts as beautiful as they want and really changing the level of skill that our domestic quilters are going to see.
Good morning, everyone. Well, morning here in Eugene, Oregon, but afternoon for many of you. We are so excited to have you join us today for our amazing arrow quilt video that Mendy Tippett's created for us. So we're going to be diving through creating the arrow quilt that you see behind me here, and that she actually used the AccuQuilt die system to cut these pieces out. And so you'll be kind of getting a little bit of that as well. And then she'll be doing the official quilting, which is this amazing design that you see quilted on this. I absolutely love that design. That will be happening in a couple of weeks. So today is going to be all about piecing and putting this gorgeous quilt together. Just so you know, we are going to be doing our arrow quilt block challenge. So that'll be coming up here in the next week or so, that we'll be kind of kicking that off. And then we'll be running that into July this year, with a goal of being able to have voting happen kind of at the beginning of July. So you get lots of time to complete your project. So we'll look forward to seeing that. We've got lots more fun projects coming up too. So all kinds of options that you might want to dive into. But I will go ahead and let Mendy take it away in creating the arrow quilt that you see behind me, and using the AccuQuilt die system. Thanks, everyone.
Hi everyone, Mendy with So Steady here. Today is such a fun day for me because I get to start a brand new project. I'm going to be working on the block of the quarter for the subscription box, which is the arrow block. And I think, as most of you know, I have an AccuQuilt cutter cutting system. And so I'm going to be using the square 2.5-inch die to be cutting out all of my little squares for the project. I did in my EQ electric quilt software a little schematic of a potential layout of the block. And obviously I have different colors than what I did on screen, but this kind of gives you an idea of the block that the project that I'm going to be doing. So I got into my stash, and I really go towards the warm colors and the neutrals. So this palette really sings to me. And I'm going to get ready to do all the cutting on the AccuQuilt. So I'll bring you along for some of that. How about that? Let me give you some details, though, before we get too far down the road. I also did some planning here, and I'm going to be having, 48 total blocks. And so when I did the math on that, I have to have 144 cuts of what would be the, let me bring this out here, back here, so you can kind of see, which are what the 3 arrows, this arrow, and this arrow. So I have to have 144 cuts of each one of those colors. And then the background color, which is this lighter one here, I end up having to have 336 cuts. So obviously that number's a little daunting if you're a little impaired with your shoulder, But not to worry, I've got my AccuQuilt that's going to help me get there so I can do what I love, which is quilting and projects and just putting it all together. Okay, so let me move over to the AccuQuilt and I'll meet you back over there. Okay, so now we're at the cutting table, and I do just need to do a little bit of prep work with the fabrics that I selected. What I did use was a fat quarter bundle, so which I really like, because then all the material is kind of coordinated and you know it works well. And it turns out that I only need 2 fat quarters per color to make the arrows, because I can get 144 cuts out of basically a yard of fabric. Okay, so I'm just cutting off the edge here, salvage, and then through trial and error and math skills that sometimes is not my forte, I have discovered that it is better if we cut rather than cut this in half and then do it that way, which was the first way I did it. There was a lot more fabric that went to waste. So now I'm going to be cutting 8-inch wide because I've got 3 2.5-inch squares. So what is that? 5, 6, 7, 8 inches. So if I do, is that right? Let me double check my math here, because I tested this out already. So this is 9 by 8. But this cut is 8 inches. This way is 8 inches. The other way is going to be the other 9 inches. But this is going to be 8 inches. Okay. So we're going to do this. And then we're going to do this one 8 inches. And my shoulder has gotten better, good enough that I can do these little cuts like this. But I can't, it gets very tired. It doesn't work long term. So I'm getting better though. Okay, so there's our 2 8 inches. Then we have this part that is the end here. I'm going to put that over there and we're going to press that and cut that. But for right now, and for the purposes of this demo here, we're going to now cut these two 9 inches because it's a fat quarter, so it's 18 inches. So 9 and 9 is 18. So now we're going to get this lined up here, and we're going to cut 9 inches here. All right. So now we have all the cuts made for the fabric that we need to cut for this color wave. So let me go ahead and get the camera set up so that we can work with the AccuQuilt now. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, so what I'm taking is the fabric that we just cut into strips. I'm going to take 4 layers, so two, of the fabrics, which equals 4 layers. And I am going to put this right on here. And if you have an AccuQuilt guide, or a cutter, you know that this is kind of not square. The dies are not square on the base, I guess. It's kind of at a slant. And I don't know what the deep meaning of that is. I just know it is. So I'm going to get my fabric lined up square with the cuts because I want the grain to be correct. Okay, so now we're going to put this over the top. And I always kind of, whoops, that's the table, sorry, pressed on it. Okay, so now I'm going to get it over here. Let's bring the camera over here now, and we're gonna watch the magic happen. Alrighty, let's get it up a little bit higher there, and I think I'll just take it back a little bit. There, we can see that better. Okay, so now all I do is, we've got this prepped. We're just gonna put it in here. And voila, over here we have all the cuts made. So now I'm just going to press on this because there is static, and then I just scooch this off so that the static doesn't win, I win. And then I'm going to try to take the edge here, and there'll be little bitty tugs of thread. Usually you don't involve a pair of scissors, but occasionally I do. And there we go. That's the whole, leftovers from, what is that? 4, 8, 12, 24, 36 cuts. I gotta tell you guys, that's a lot faster and a lot more accurate than I am. So I'm loving life. All right, here we go. Here we go. And here we go. The first time I did this, and of course, I'm kind of a let's do it girl rather than a watch YouTube videos and learn that way. And I was doing the log cabin one, and I didn't understand about the static cling. And there's all different kinds of sizes with the log cabin. And I had pieces of fabric kind of everywhere. So, that's how I learn. I have to do it the rough way first, and then I'm a fast learner. Okay, so now here we go. I'm gonna put that there. I'm gonna put this here. I'm gonna put this up here. I like to turn it over about every other one, just so I don't wear it all out on one side. Okay, so now I'm gonna bring this back over here so we can kind of watch the magic. I'll get it on both sides so we can see. My camera guy is on strike here, so it's me. Here we go. All right, and voila, here we are again. Let me bring you down here for a closer look. So we're gonna press this, and then we're gonna kind of slide it off. All right, and then we're just gonna pick this up and get that off of there, and this one too. Right. Okay, so now we've already done 8 layers, and we need a total of 16 layers of this one. Actually, I did some ahead of time. 2, 4. All right, so let's go ahead and get these other ones done. I cut the right amount that I needed, so I know I don't have to keep track. I was trying to keep track and I'd get distracted, and then that was bad. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to put that there, there. We're going to put this on here. All right. I'm going to bring it over here. All right. Once you get the hang of the little tricks of the trade, this is so slick. All right, and I love the small amount of waste that's there too. And let's be honest, the accurate cutting. That's, you know, if you cut accurately, sew accurately, and iron accurately, your quilt's going to be perfect. Well, let's be honest. Very rarely do I reach perfection. So this is helping me get up on that ladder a little higher. All right. So just these few more, and then we're actually done with this color wave. So let's go ahead. We've got how many here? 1, 2, 3, and this is my 4th one. Okay, so this is the last one for this color wave here. And that one's a shorter one, so I'm gonna, these were the ends. You can see the fold there. So they're not the same size, but that's how I could get so many out of that fat quarter, by cutting it a little bit differently than my instinct was to do it first. And because these are bigger, I don't have to worry quite so much about where they are, because you want to have about a minimum of 1/4 to 1/2 inch on the outside of the die to make sure that you do get the full cut of the shape. All right. And now I'm going to slide that off. And here we go. And we're going to have a little bit more waste here, because this was the, you know, that middle cut thing. So, alrighty. And there we got one that's hanging on there. Just give it a little tug. And another one right there. All right. So you can see that that's very quick, very efficient. And I will carry on and do the rest of the cutting, and then I'll catch back up with you for the next phase of the project. All right, see you later. Okay, now that we got all of the fabric cut out, I had to go through the process of deciding what exactly I wanted our block to look like. And this was the winter chicken dinner. So I've put the strongest fabric in the center, with the more neutral one at the bottom and the medium one at the top. So you can see the arrows now going straight up like that. And that's our plan, Stan. I've been busy while we've been away from the camera. So I have put the first upper half of the quilt together. I've pieced all of those and got them done. You piece them in 4 squares. So I did these 4 and these 4, and then connected them in the center. And you can see that that allows for you to get those beautiful little spread out centers that are really lovely whenever you're doing your piecing, because then you don't have the bulk of that. All right. So then I went ahead and I did this quadrant already. So now I'm going to show you this one, this quadrant here. And I've got 48 of each of these. So a lot of piecing to go together. So let me pull out the number that I need, and I'll meet you back at the sewing machine. Okay, we're back at the sewing machine, and I've counted out and paired up 48 of the blocks that we have to put together, and I'm ready set. I've got my Sew Straight guide on here. I've got my needle pushed over to the right at plus 2.0. That'll give me my scant 1/4 inch. I've got my little stiletto here that's going to help me make sure that I stay straight as I'm sewing. I'm not going to be using any pins because it is such a small little area that I don't feel like I benefit from a pin. So let's go ahead and get started, and let's get this show on the road here. Okay. All right. I'm just going to do 12 of these. I like to do them in 12s. That way I can mathematically know where I'm going here. Two. Here is 3. I do find that my stitching is more accurate when I do use the stiletto. As much as I think my finger's good, it's not. Not as good as the stiletto. All right. Just daisy chaining them. Together. Okay. Oops. Making sure that that fabric is riding right against the edge of my Sew Straight guide. All right. Here we go. Okay, So you get the gist of it. I get to do that, I think, 84 more times. So when I'm done with that, we'll come back and go to the next step. Okay, so now I'm at the pressing station. I've sewn those two ones together to make our quadrant. I've got 12 more here that I need to press out, so let me do that. And then we're going to start putting that one together. So I always think I've got it figured out when my arm isn't going to be in the way, and I'm never right. My arms get in the way all the time. All right. 2. Just give it a little tug. It's going to go through a lot more pressing. We just want to make sure that we can get to that nice tight intersection at where the seam is. And then we can, nudge those seams together for a perfect intersection. So let me finish doing this. And then we'll do a little bit of pinning. And that'll be the final quadrant to make our overall block. All right. Oops. Let me move that little bump right there. Tug on it just a little bit. I do like steam in my oven. Steam in my oven. Well, when I'm baking bread, I like that. Steam in my iron. Excuse me. Just helps make that press a little bit more flat. All right, so our pressing is now done. Now we're going to do a little bit of pinning, and we'll be back at the sewing machine to put this final quadrant together, and then we'll be putting the whole thing together. All right, so if you take a look at what our original plan was, I'm just going to swing this over a little bit, and we'll go down just a tidge. Here we go. This is the quadrant that we're going to be putting together right now. So the top ones are the patterned ones, and the bottom one has the pattern on the left and the background fabric on the right hand side. So this is the way that I want to do it. Now, I didn't pay attention intentionally to which way I was pressing the seams, because all I have to do is turn this around and it's perfect. All right, and that's only because both fabrics are the same. Okay, so now we've got this. Where are my pins at? Right here. I'm going to put those two seams together, nestle them together. I take it between my thumb and my forefinger and make sure they're flat. And then I'm just going to put a pin right there. I'm not even going to worry about the two ends, because I'm going to daisy chain these, and I'll have the opportunity of doing that as I'm putting them underneath the foot. So let's make sure, let's just turn this around that way. Whenever I pick it up, it's correct. Okay, so there we go. I'm on my pressing surface, so it's kind of nice because then I can kind of nudge it. The felt kind of holds the piece together while I'm pinning. All right, there's that one. So next, let's put these over here, get them out of the way there. Okay, so here we go. We're going to put that there, nudge, get that flat. Take our pin and get it in there. All right. So next, these are the bottom ones. This is the top one. There we go. All right. So I'm just pressing that, or not pressing it. Well, I am pressing it between my thumb and my forefinger. Okay. All right. So you can see what the game plan is for, how many is that? 48 more. So I will continue on here and I'll meet you back at the sewing machine. Okay. Here we are, and we're ready now to sew these final, these two quadrants together here. All right. Lay these out a little bit so I can, sorry. Okay. I love it when I get in a routine and can keep that going. Okay, let's keep this. Okay, let me get this one. There we go. Oh, I don't like how that one is doing. Let's do it this way. See if that's better. Okay, let's try that. Okay. Okay, well, I have quite another more stack here, so I'm going to come back when I'm done and we'll go to the next step. Okay, I got all that piecing done. Now I'm ready to get the pressing on this last little pair that I matched up, and then we're going to connect it to its partner here, which is this guy. So what I'm doing is I'm just taking out the couple little stitches beyond our seam on both sides. Then I'm going to take it, and whenever I put this together, this is how it's going to get connected. Is the dark fabric up here, the mild fabric here. This is my arrow. So this is pressed up. So I know I want this one pressed down. So we're going to just go ahead and take this. I've got my seams undone here, and it naturally goes that way. So let's go ahead and take my iron, and we're going to just do a little press job here. And I'll show you that in 1 second. And voila, there we have our little, I call it an envelope, but we flattened all 4 corners. I'll flip it over and do another little pressing on it. And then just like that, we can match those seams going in opposite directions. Let's see here. Did I do that correctly? Nope, I didn't. That was supposed to go down. Okay, so we need to go this way with it like that. All right, this is how it goes, right? Yep. Okay. So yeah, that seam has to go down. So let me come back just a sec. Okay. So I just happened to pick the one that wasn't ironed right the first time. This time, they're all going to match up. We're going to get our little seam together there. And we're going to take our pin and get that nestled in there. And this time I am going to do 3 pins because I really want to make sure that this block gets stitched straight. Or this portion of the block, I should say, get stitched straight. So voila, we've got them going in opposite directions. And then that will be the bottom half to this one. And that will be our block ultimately. So now let me go ahead and get these others ironed out and pinned. And we'll go to the next phase. Okay, be right back. Okay, back at the sewing machine. I've got them all pinned, and we're going to start daisy chaining again this little foursome together. And here we go. Let me get my stiletto, which I love. All right, well, there's the first 12. And as you can tell, they're piling up. So I'm only going to do 12 at a time because there's more bulk there. And so I'm going to do the other, what is that, 36. And then I'll meet you back at the pressing table. All right, here we are back at the pressing table, and I'm going to do the same thing as before. I'm going to take out these few little stitches. I'm trying to make sure I get into the middle of, there we go. Okay, so you guys can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to take out these few little stitches that are right here. Okay, there we go. Usually they're pretty easy to come out. Sometimes they're not. All right, so now if you have one that is a little stubborn, sometimes you can open them up and get it that way. Okay, so now we're going to do a little press job here. And we get that little, what I call envelope, 4-petal, whatever you want to call it, spiral. And then we're going to iron it. Open. Okay, so let me show you with the other one now that I did earlier. So here is our block. I guess once again, not high enough. Sorry. Let's maybe turn the camera a little bit there. All right. So there is the block. So we've got our top arrow up here. Oops. Our middle arrow and our starting arrow. Okay. So now I think what I'm going to do as I press them and get them going. Okay, now see, here's a good example. They're both going the same way, but that was not a seam that had to be that pressed that way. So I'm just going to repress this, guys, and get it going the way that I want it. I may have to do that on all of them. That'll be a bummer, but oh well. So there we go. So now I'm going to get those two butted up against each other. Okay. Get my pins back over here. And I drop a few so I can get them easily. And I'm just going to do that. That way I don't have to keep touching these. And I'm going to have a lot of seams here. So I want to make sure that I get all these butted up together. And the pressing is going in the opposite direction, which it is. All right. And then over here too. There we go. All right. So now there, I think I'll go ahead and put one at the very beginning too. So I'll put a total of 4 in there. So there will be our block. Voila. So that's the process that I'm going to go through 48 times. So let me go ahead and get busy here, and I'll come back and we're getting closer to seeing a finished block. All right. See you here in a little bit. Okay, so we're back at the sewing machine with our first 12 that are going to actually turn into a total block. So here we go. Oops, gotta have just one at a time. Works better that way. Okay. get that going off the end there. Sorry. Okay. Keep it going. Go. All right, there's our 12. I'll meet you back at the pressing table. Okay, so I've got them. I took out the pins, and now we're going to start doing exactly what we did with everything else. We're going to be taking out these extra little stitches at that wasn't a seam, at the seams, because we're going to open those up into those spirals or envelopes, whatever you want to call them. So we're going to turn it over and do it on this side. I do like to use thread that does not match the fabric, because it's certainly easier to take the stitches out whenever you're needing to. Okay, so there's our first one, and let's see how we did. Here we go. 1, 2, and 3. Voila. Let's make sure I got a little wet, but that's okay. All right. So we have just all the seams laying down exactly like we had hoped. We have all of our seams opened up. That one should have been opened up right there. That one probably should have gone that way, but we'll leave it the way it is. That's the only one that didn't go. All right, so let's see the front side. So I'll orientate it that way so that you can see. All right, so I'm going to give it a final little press here. So there we are. That's the block that we're working with. That's going to, let's see, I'm trying to see which direction. Nope, need to go this way. There we are. Okay, so this is the block that we're going to be making our project out of. So let's go ahead and do a couple more like that. And then we will finish all the rest of them. And then the fun comes with trying to figure out how you want to lay it out. And sometimes I do that with software like AccuQuilt, and sometimes I use it with the physical blocks, just because I am very visual and I like to be up close and personal with it, meaning I think I can see it better when I'm doing it in person. So personal preference, whatever works for you. Okay, here we go. 1 and 2 Now there's a situation where there's one little thread that was a hanger-oner, but you just nudge it, it'll come off. All right. And go back if you boogered up any of your previous ironing, just fix it while you're there. All right, so we'll orient it the right way, and then we're going to give it a press from this side. Take a minute if you see threads like I just saw there, and anything else that you don't want to deal with later, take it and clean it up. Okay, looking good. All right, so let's go on to number 3 here. We're going to just take these few little ones out. Nothing there, right? Yeah, right there. Okay, and then right here. Sometimes you'll feel a little tug, and just open it up like that, and you can see if it's going to open up. All right, and here we go. Come on. There we go. Here's this one. And this one down here. Yeah, I'm good. All right, let's open this up. And it just naturally moves the way that it wants to. So you don't have to force anything. When you put your fingers on it, you'll figure out which way it's trying to tell you it wants to go. All right, let's go ahead and orient it the right way. Clean it up a little bit. Make sure that we got it there. Make sure I like to put steam in my iron. As I said, I think I just get a better press out of it when I do. Okay. And one more here. Just going to take out those few little ones. It's usually just about 2 or 3 stitches. Sometimes they can be ornery, but most of the time they come out willingly. Okay. And on this side. Okay. You'll see that I have different bobbin thread. I'm using up my old bobbins. I like to do that. Makes me feel like I'm getting my money's worth. Okay. There we go. And this one just needs to go that way. All right. Orient it the right way. Lay it down and press it on this side. All right. I think you got the gist. I'll go back and do the rest of them, and I'll see you back here. Okay, so we're back at the ironing table, and I've got the blocks that I've done, and we're ready to put them together. So what I've done is I've put 4 of these blocks together to make this one big block here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I have 10 of these done. So that means that I'll have 5 of these going down, and then that gives me 4 bottoms that I'll need to finish. So that's where these come into play. And so let me get going here, and I'll come back and I'll show you. Well, I guess you can kind of see it right there. That's how I'm going to finish each one of these, not each one, but the top and the bottom ones is with this, okay? So I'll make this same, I'll call it a cross, right down here, both at the top and the bottom. And I'm just going to do that by sewing these two together and then sewing them to the top and bottom of the ones that we've got across the bottom. All right, I'll come back whenever we're further along in our construction. Okay, so now what I've done is taken those separate blocks and I've put these two together. So now I'm going to go ahead and take out those little stitches on the ends, iron it, and then connect the other two. I'll be right back. Okay, so now we're to the part where I'm connecting the blocks, the larger blocks that we made. So it's going to be 3 columns, and this is one of the columns, and it has 12 blocks in it. So I've done 2 of the columns just like this. I've got this one right here that we're going to do now, and I've got it pinned here. And everything is matching up in terms of all the seams and everything. What I did do is whenever I was taking the 3 blocks, the 3 oversized blocks, when I connected them in the center here, I alternated. This is going up and down, and then the 2 on the ends are going sideways. I did that on each one of them so that there was never a block that was going to meet with the center line connecting. It's all alternating, and that's just to make sure I don't have a pretty deep impression all the way across on any one seam. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and go to the sewing machine. I'm going to get these done. We're going to pick out all these little extra threads, iron it, and then we'll start putting together the columns. So I'll see you back at the sewing machine. All right, here we are at the sewing machine. 2 quick seams that we're going to do. Let me get this here using my Sew Straight guide. And here we go. And I try to keep my hand out of it. All right, there's one. And here is the other one. Let's get it laying down straight here. There we go. All right. All right, I'll meet you back over at the pressing table. Okay, so let's get these pins out. And then we're going to take out those few extra little stitches. And get this pressed out. So I ended up making 12 total blocks. And originally I was going to have all 12 in this one project. But then I changed my mind because I got a two-for deal. So I made 9 of the blocks in this project. And I made one just a table runner. So I used both table toppers and table runners. And I thought, oh, that would be extra nice to have. So I did change up the project a little bit. But the project that I've given you at the very beginning, how many to cut and everything, you can, tone that down. I'll give you the numbers if you want to take it down from 12 blocks to 9 blocks. Here we go. Sorry. Trying to see. Sometimes it's not that easy. Okay, this one occasionally I'll have this happen where I fold it over a seam and then I can't get to it. I just undo the stitching on that. And because we'll be quilting over this and everything, I'm not worried about that coming apart or anything. So I don't go back and restitch that. All righty. So now we've done both sides, right? Yes, we have. Okay, so now we're going to do a little pressing here. Let me get these pins out of the way. And okay, so here we go. Let me get the iron over here. So we're going to go down. And it just automatically will fold for you in the right direction when you're doing it right. I've done it wrong and fought it, and you're not doing it right if you're fighting it. But I'm stubborn that way. Okay, so let's see here. Let's go ahead and finish this. All right. There we go. I'm just going to turn that over real quick and give it a good little press here while I'm there. Okay. Okay. So now we're going to do the same song, second verse on this other seam. Here we go. Take this out. Goes there. Now let's go ahead and get these little, you can't see that, can you? There we go. Can you see that? Nope, still not. Let's bring it over here. There we go. Okay. I'm self-filming, which in some ways is easier, but it's also sometimes harder. So I apologize if you can't see very good. All right, I did that. Like I said before, sometimes these are really easy and sometimes they can be a little stubborn, but it is worth the patience to get it all done because the pressing, you can kind of see right here, it just makes the whole project lay so nice and flat, and then your quilting will look good too. Okay, let's turn it over. You can see I've got yellow and blue and tan and white White was not my best choice for a thread color. Sorry, guys, I know my hand's in the way, but I gotta hold that down to get it. There we go. Yeah, this is a little bit of a, you gotta really have good eyes, and I clearly wear glasses, so not the best eyes. All right. We go. Oh, here's another one where I went over it. I thought my pins were going to keep me from doing that, but no such luck here. All right, so let's get these done. And this one done. Okay, let's go ahead and lay that open and press here. Okay. Love it when that works. All right, let's turn it over and give it a press. All righty. So now we're ready to start pinning together the actual columns. And they're identical, meaning that the pattern is going to be the same. So it's not like I have to do one column over another one here. So let's go ahead and see if we can show you visually here before I start pinning them. But here, so the way you'll know that you've got it lined up, can you see this little design right here? It's the lighter of the two fabrics that are combining. So you've got three actual designs here. You've got the design, which is the tan, which you see very clearly. That's where your eye goes at first. Then when we combine the blocks together, we get the white one that it comes into play between the two tan. And then off to the side where the seams are, you get yet another design, which is the lighter. It'll be the light arrow or the bottom arrow with the background fabric that makes like a little box here. So I love this design because it actually, or this layout, because it actually gives you so many different things to look at in the big picture. And the really contrasting fabric, the brown or rust tone here, doesn't play center stage. It's kind of like a supporting actor where all the other fabrics get to shine. So yeah, at the end of the day, I'm really happy with how this came out. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get this pinned, and then we're going to meet you back at the sewing machine, and we're going to put these three columns together, and then we'll be ready to put the backing and the batting and start doing some embroidery. So we're really close. All right, see you back at the sewing machine. All right, so now we have the final two seams for all of the piecing that we've done. There have been a lot of little 2.5-inch squares on this, but we're almost at the end of our piecing journey here. Okay, let's get going.
anxiety, maybe over a year.
Trying to keep my hand out of the camera here, guys, so bear with me. Here. All right. One more seam here. Let's go find it. One, and the other one is right here. Okay. Right. I just wanted to get that started before I get the fabric where I need it to be here. Okay. Let's keep it going. That's a good reminder. I always try to make sure my pins don't go beyond the fabric. Every now and again, I get one that was very rambunctious and made it over the line. It'll be a hard time for me to keep my seam straight if that gets by there. And here's another one. And another one down here. All right, almost to the end here. Okay, those are the last two seams of all the piecing for this top. I'm going to go back to the sewing or the ironing table. I'm going to take out all the pins. I'm going to pull all those little threads out. So the next time you see this, we'll have a finished quilt top. I'll see you then.